Hey everybody, how's everyone doing tonight? Lovely, amazing. We're gonna have a lovely. Hi, hello.
Hi, Rand.
Can you hear me okay, Salman?
Yeah, you're fine. You're looking
Great.
all.
You're looking very dapper.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I love it. You also always look so nice and handsome in your videos as well.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Oh,
Of
so
course.
wasn't expecting that.
I'm sure everyone else here would agree. Is that right, everybody? Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you all for being here tonight, Salman. Again, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I've just been, we've been friends on this app for a little bit, and I've just enjoyed your content, enjoyed seeing you, interact with a lot of other queer Muslims and, people from all kinds of backgrounds. And I'm so excited to be talking to you tonight about your experience and everything that you have to share. So if you could just introduce yourself, name, pronouns, whatever you want to say about yourself.
Sure. So, Rand, thank you very much for having me. First of all, you're right. I mean, we've been friends for some time on this app, and I enjoy your content as well. My name is Salman, and I come from Pakistan. And I moved to Canada about 3 years ago. Since then, I've been living here, and I'm gay, and um, like a lot of other Pakistanis, I also, you know, had certain preconceptions about, let's say, preconceptions about homosexuality, and I was raised to be a homophobic person. So, briefly about myself, I would say that. I'm really proud that I'm sitting here with zero homophobia, internalized homophobia. And
Yes.
that exactly, yay. And that is the biggest accomplishment, personal accomplishment that I'm really proud of.
Salman, that's amazing. And from watching your page, I can see you've had many accomplishments as far as your personal journey through this process and everything. So the theme of the night basically is this, success that you're feeling in conquering your internalized homophobia. Can you speak a little bit about that journey? I know, again, based on your content, you've got so many stories to tell, but if there's a way to just give us the abridged version and sort of what's guided you through this and how you've come to where you are today.
Okay, well, I've been told that I talk a lot, so I'll try to keep it brief.
I'm not going to stop you.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I was born in a conservative Sunni Muslim family, and I would say conservative because looking back at it, I would say that we were conservative, although it didn't really feel like it at that time. My parents were actually Ismailis, Agha Khanis. It's a small minority denomination of Muslims, and my dad, before getting married to my mom, and then my mom after marriage, they both converted into and accepted Sunni faith. And because they changed their faith, there was a lot of um, religious. Let me put it this way: there was a lot of religious influence in my household growing up, and that did really good. That was really good because I wasn't really relying on imams or uh, um, because everything was new, right? And I still recall that every week we would sit and have a study circle and we
Yeah.
talk about Islamic teachings, and so it's very. I say it very cautiously that I come from a conservative Sunni Muslim family because they weren't typically very conservative. However, everybody has limitations. And living in Pakistan and growing up in Pakistan, there isn't a lot of awareness about LGBTQ plus community and homosexuality. The only time I heard about homosexuality was in advertisements that they would do for a,
Wow.
and that's the first. And it's so funny, the ad campaign that they ran. I'm pretty sure that you remember the times, when AIDS was. I don't. I'm definitely older than you, so I don't know if you remember that or not.
I
But I
remember
remember
by researching it, but not by
but
existing through
yeah,
it.
where AIDS was a big thing, and in Pakistan they started doing campaigns through advertisements where they were warning people of extramarital affairs. That's how they put it, right? And so everything is taboo, so you can't really talk openly about anything.
Covert
So
messaging.
Exactly. So they would just say, extramarital affairs between women and men and men and men. So this is the first time I realized and recognized, whoa, there is something between men and men. I wasn't aware of that. So I asked my mom and I was like, you know what? Why are they talking about men and men? And the way my mom explained it to me, and this is why I told you that I come from a conservative family, uh, because it's all relative, right? Using word conservative is relative. Uh,
Sure.
uh,
Absolutely.
uh, when I asked my mom said, "Oh, this is people, lustful people who basically aren't good people. They're bad people, bad men who have a lot of libido, and that's why they go after other men. They can't be satisfied with just women." Without being responsible for women and kids. They want to have fun. That's the word she would use. They want to have fun with men. So that's how the first time I got introduced heard about homosexuality. Before that, I had no idea what homosexuality was. So this is how I started my journey, just to give you a little bit of an idea of, what kind of family I come from. And very early on, and I moved to the state just for a year. I was in 11th grade. I did my 11th grade from the USA, Texas, which is also a very conservative state in the US. And
Yeah,
yeah,
Texas of all places to land in from from
call
Pakistan.
me. About it exactly, right? So I was there, and of course I learned a lot. I mean, that opened my eyes towards a different world. So of course it was, from learning point of view, from growth point of view, it was great. And I think that was, I would I would say that it was one of those years where I was away from the family, so I learned the most, right? Early on. And I remember, there were a few people calling out, saying, "Hey, Salman, do you like guys?" Things like that. Of course, it was, to some people it was obvious, but they wouldn't mock, right? They
Right,
wouldn't say, they would make fun of me.
right.
And I knew that tone, and I recognized that tone because I used to get the same tone back home as well in Pakistan. So, and what I did what I always did the best: hide. So the more people teased me and made fun of me, the more I went into hiding. So the more I got exposed to homosexuality, the more hate I developed towards homosexuality. Um, and I guess, in Dubai, I still remember, I was, I don't know how many details or how much details you want me to go into, but I was really,
However much you're willing to, feel
I
comfortable sharing. Safe
well,
space here.
yeah. So I moved to Dubai for a job. I got a very good job in a very a large multinational PricewaterhouseCoopers. I'm an accountant, by the way, by profession.
Mm.
Um, so when I started working at PricewaterhouseCoopers in Dubai, I wanted to explore a little bit, and I went to this, let's call it Grinder, because back in the day, I've never used Grinder, by the way. I'm very old, right? Like, so Grinder is for new gay guys. For
Right,
me,
right, right.
I
And plus,
I use
you've
Facebook.
been in a relationship for a while, and
Yeah,
these
yeah,
things. Yeah.
exactly. So that's Grinder of those times, right? Facebook. It was a Facebook group in the UAE, and it was funny because in the UAE homosexuality is illegal, so they would keep changing that group. So sometimes, all of a sudden you will go to that group and that group become non-existent. Then you have to search another gay group, just to keep
Right.
it safe.
You stay on the
Because
move.
being monitored.
Yes.
Sorry?
You said you got to stay on the move.
Exactly, absolutely. So yeah, I put myself out there for exploring, and that was the first time, I was pushing my boundaries a little bit. I was very uncomfortable. I remember crying a night before
Oh.
I was gonna meet this guy. It was horrible. It was horrible, and honestly, like the first meeting, I started crying with hiccups. It
Mm.
was terrible experience. We didn't even get to do any fun stuff. I end up crying
All the
with
stuff that your mom promised.
exactly. And I was like, well, this is what gays be about. We're having fun crying with
We just
hiccups.
cry before dates.
I it is. I'm so embarrassed to even talk about that story, but
No,
that's reality. That's
don't
the
be ashamed.
truth, right?
Yeah.
Um, And I didn't know any better. And I really cried. I was really scared. I was extremely scared. And the good thing is the guy was scared too. So it wasn't only me who was scared. He was scared because we were in Dubai. He knew
Right.
he was living in a shared accommodation.
Yeah.
And I had to tiptoe to his room. So of course, if I'm crying with hiccups and his roommates hear it,
Yeah.
it could be a fiasco, let's say, right?
Right.
So I didn't, of course, I'm now processing. So I'm looking back at it and I can share the details. But at that time, I was scared. I didn't have any time to process whatsoever. And I was very new in Dubai. And the guy said, well, well, leave. And I'm like, well, leave how? I don't know how to get a taxi. You brought me here. You gave me a ride. And now you want me to leave. And I don't even know how to get a taxi in Dubai. It's like, where are you coming from? You just search online and call a taxi. And I'm like, I don't know. I've never done that before. So he called a taxi for me. But anyway, it was such an embarrassing event or day, let's call it. But yeah, then after that, I went on that group again and I was so scared. I wasn't ready to go right away. So I gave a little bit of break. I said, you know what, this time I just want to talk about me being homosexual and gay. I want someone who can actually talk to me. That's all I'm looking for. And that was very unusual in that group, right? Because that was like Grindr where people actually were looking for one night stands.
Mm-hmm.
So after a few days, my husband, now my husband got in touch with me, and that's how we met. And
Aww.
yeah, and since then, it's been an amazing journey. You know, it's not all, like they show in the movies, because they were accepting. I was in denial myself.
Right.
I recall when we first met, I told him, look, and when we started falling in love a little bit, like when I started having feelings for him, I got really, really scared again. And he, when he confessed his feelings to me, I said to him, Lim, this is not going to be long term. I come from a Muslim family. I need to get married. And this is how I used to talk. I need to get married. I have to get married, right? Even though without realizing, nobody is forcing me. Nobody's standing, there telling me you have to get married. Nobody ever said that to me. But it's just, that's how you're raised. That's what you know. Like,
Yeah.
you have to get married. You have to have kids, or else, people are gonna talk. And if people are gonna talk,
It's hardwired to your brain.
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like, I never questioned. So what? So what if people are? What's gonna happen? Right? Everything is just scare tactic, right? So, oh, your sisters are not gonna get married. And bear in mind, my parents have left their community, Ismaili Khani community, and they've converted.
They've
So
entered a new community.
very small.
Yeah.
Right. And I still remember, just to give you a little bit of, the family was so pious, in the sense that I still remember, we would compete among siblings who would pray 5 times. Wow. And who would hajjud, who would do, ishraq, even, the prayers that are not an obligation. So not just the obligatory prayers, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of background I come from. And then, learning, just seeing new world unfold in front of me, and realizing that everything that I have learned was just based on pretty much lies. I wouldn't say everything, but a lot of lies in there, right? A lot of made up stuff in there. And I think in Dubai, I came to a point where I was like, okay, well, I am, I came to terms with my homosexuality. I would put it this way. So I identified in Dubai as in the first 6 years, right? Mm-hmm. Not throughout my tenure in Dubai, but in the first 6 years, I identified myself as a gay Muslim. Mm. And I came to terms with it that there was a place for homosexual people in Islam. Whatever I was taught was wrong. I talked to people, and I read many interpretations, and it opened my eyes. It opened my eyes to even, LGBTQ plus scene in the West. They have a LGBTQ Muslim scene in the West. So, we've got LGBT mosques in Canada, in the US as well, I believe. So that kind of opened my eyes, and that really was encouraging. And it was so beautiful, because that I started feeling safe. I started feeling like, I have a place. religion was so deeply rooted in me. It was such a big part of my identity that there was no way I was going to identify as just gay. I had to be identified as a gay Muslim. That was me. Um, and um, yeah, and that's at that time, and then my husband and I moved to Australia, and that was another journey. I learned new things there, and then we moved back to Dubai. When I moved back to Dubai, and when I wasn't living with my husband moved to Canada and I moved to Dubai, and that was only because I knew that when I go to Canada, my parents, I come from a South Asian family. So South Asian family, basically, your parents live with the son. I'm the only son of my parents.
Oh.
So my mom always said to me, she would want to live with me. And I, was basically living her dream. I literally used to dream that I'm going to end up, providing an amazing house to my mom. She's going to have everything in the house exactly, like mama's boy, perfect mama's boy, perfect South Asian mama's boy. um, so and my husband was very supportive, such a sweetheart. He's like, oh, this is your dream. And this is why we moved to Canada. My husband was like, I even said to my husband, what if I come out to my parents and they don't accept me? Of course, I have to come out because they can't live with us.
Right.
If I'm not going to, right? I'm not going to kick you out.
There's going to be a lot of questions.
Huh?
A lot of questions coming up if you don't have that conversation.
Absolutely. And Lim was like, no, you can't look back at it and regret that you didn't do it. This is, you always wanted to do it, you've got to go for it. He's really, really supportive. He's always been very supportive. Likewise, we've been very supportive.
God bless him.
Yeah. So anyway, then we moved to, so I said, look, Lim, we're going to have to separate. You're going to have to go to Canada, and I am going to go and live a year in Dubai because I got a job offer from the previous employer that I was working with in Dubai, and they begged me to come there because there was a project they were doing and they needed me. But I don't want to focus on that right now. So basically, I went there and I decided to move my parents to Dubai because I said, if I'm going to come out to them in Canada, I might just, give them a beautiful 1 year of memories without having to deal with, my coming out and such a big, big shock for them. So yeah, I ended up moving to Canada, to Dubai again, and this is where I started living with my parents, and I think that's where I realized a few other things about me, and I realized how much I've changed, and I wanted to take a new journey, and that was a journey of departing from my faith, separating from my faith, and it was such a difficult journey. I, for the first time, realized that I can actually be a good person without being a Muslim. Not that I wasn't a good person when I was a Muslim, right? So that's not what I mean. And recognizing that and reconciling my previous Muslim identity with a non-Muslim identity. And that was beautiful because I didn't want to just change and hate my past.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person who looks back and reflect what goodness I got out of the religion. Why am I leaving my religion? Why I want to embark upon on this new journey. So yeah, I came to, again, terms with the fact that I am no longer a Muslim, and it was just a matter of announcing that. So before I came out as gay to my parents,
you came out as so many things.
As Muslim, as non-Muslim, and that was honestly not a big shock. So this is where I say I wasn't. I don't necessarily come from a conservative family if you look at it in the context of Pakistani society. So when I told my parents were not happy about it, but they weren't. There was no drama. Okay, and so I wanted to test them a little bit. And I said, are you going to start calling me Paul now? My name is Paul. And they're like, why Paul? Are you changing your religion to Christianity? Because Paul is a very Christian name. And I'm like, no. I am not changing my faith to any other faith. I just want to be faithless. I don't want to have a faith. Well, I should call it faithless because being atheist is also kind of sometimes feel like a religion, right? I don't know. Whatever. It's just a school of thought. So
Sure.
But anyway, I don't even know if I'm an atheist or an agnostic. But anyway, that's another journey that I'm going to have to take.
Yeah, that's another coming out story for another day.
Exactly.
Whatever you are is perfect. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I did tell my parents that, I'm a non-Muslim, and that wasn't a very huge deal for them because they still saw that, I was I was a good person. They were living with me. I was right under their nose, and they could, see what kind of person I am. And they asked me my reasons, of course, and there was a conversation in the house and in the family, and I told them that this is what my belief is, and they were cool with that. Anyway, so now we go to Canada. All of us moved to Canada. My parents moved from Canada to Dubai to live with me. So now they moved back to Canada, and I moved for the first time to see my husband. Yeah, we bought a house. Right, first thing I did was I'm gonna buy a house. And when I was buying a house, my mother made the huge demands. I want to have a separate room. I'm not gonna sleep in the same room with your dad because he kicks me at night. I need a washroom. I need to have a personal private washroom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these are too many demands. And of course, she didn't know that, I was with Lim, and I discussed these demands with Lim, and it's like, you know what? She's old. Give her whatever she's asking for. If we can afford it, fine. So we bought a house. We couldn't afford such a big house in Toronto, so we had to move a little bit further away from Toronto, and we bought a house in Oshawa. So that's where, that's when I came out. After I bought the house, after I got married, I came out to my parents. Not after, actually, I came out before I got married. I did invite my parents to the wedding. They didn't come, by the way. That was a big shock for them. There was a lot of drama. So I'm still so shocked to just when I look back at it, they weren't really shocked about me being a non-Muslim. I guess they still have a little bit of faith that I'm going to come back to the religion, perhaps.
Right.
And when they found out, my sister used the word, I'm a lost cause now.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Another that I'm doomed. So, there were words that were used. There were things that were thrown at me, not physically, but, accusations, for all the lying that I did. And I didn't lie to them, I don't blame them. They were accusing me for lies because that's I had to, right? And then I had to explain to them that I was lying to you because maybe, have you ever thought about how you raised me up? Right. Maybe we didn't have an upbringing. And I'm saying, look, I am not the only one who lied. Talk to your daughters. Their truths might not be as horrifying as mine, but talk to them. They might not be telling you the complete truth either because how you've raised us. Anyway, so a lot was said, mostly from their side, which was very hurting. And I definitely did say a lot of things that were hurting too. And ultimately we decided, that my parents, and they lived with me for about 6 to 8 months. My younger sister also moved to Canada from Saudi with their husband. So they didn't have a place. They also ended up coming and living with us.
Full house.
So my sister, exactly, she's pregnant. She's baby coming. So my sister, pregnant sister, her husband, my parents, my husband and I, they were all living together. And my dream was, we're going to be one big, happy family. And yeah, that dream got shattered because obviously we weren't going to be a big, happy family because my parents weren't accepting of our relationship. They're tolerating. So they're not, you can't be together or whatever, blah, blah, blah. They came to terms with it that this is what it is. We're going to lose our son if we don't, bend a little bit. So they did. But then, there was constant comments made. It just became so toxic that I realized, and that was another learning for me. I grew from that experience because I realized that love is not enough to live together. Love can very quickly become toxic. And then, we separated and we said to our parents, we'll help you. We'll move you out, and then my sister decided that, at that time she was also going to move out anyway. So she was like, I'm going to move out parents to her place. So yeah, we lived together for 8 months with my parents, for 6 months with my sister and her husband. And it was an interesting experience for us. We learned a lot from that experience. But I got really depressed. So I went into this depression phase for about 1.5 years or 2 years where, I waking up, and this is the first time I ever felt depressed in my life. Think about it, being a homophobic gay person. I never got depressed.
And this is what sort of tipped it. Yeah, that's big.
Exactly. And this was the tipping point. And that's why I said to people, coming out, and a lot of people, a lot of gay guys reach me when you're so lucky you could come out. And I'm like, oh, it is not an easy experience. It's like, it's not
a pleasurable experience for most of us.
It's a very difficult experience. It takes so much toll on you, on your health. And I never feel the same. Like, I cannot feel as healthy as I was before. Once depression hits you, once you go into that, I don't know how much you know about that, but
Yeah.
that point I realized, I need to pull myself out of this, or else, I'm always going to be waking up, wanting not to live.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
know exactly what you mean. That feeling is debilitating.
absolutely. And the worst part is that it affects people around you. You can't even blame them. I mean, there were times my husband got so fed up. He's like, if you are always going to feel that way, then what about us? I
Yep.
know that you caused so much trauma. What about us?
It's a
And I'm like,
reality. Yep.
exactly. And I said to him, look, is that how you're going to talk to me while I'm feeling depressed? What the hell? Like, hello, like I am depressed right now. Gotta pamper me. And he's like, well, I've been, I'm putting up with you for such a long time. And yeah, so
When you're
anyway.
depressed, you don't feel the time pass. You don't understand, how it's affected those around you. And, like you said, you have to pull yourself out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I did, I successfully did, and then here I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically my entire life journey. I've
So
told you
man,
there.
that was so impressive. If I asked anybody to give their whole life story in a snippet like that, I don't think they would have done as good a job as you did.
Oh, thank you
That's
so much.
amazing. So you said a bunch of things. I mean, I obviously am going to have a million questions for you. I'm going to try and get as many as I can for the time that we have. Um, Something that I feel that kind of struck out to me the most, obviously, is going to be this sort of thing with family, right? There's family connection. This is, my fiance and I, we just got engaged and we started our first pre-marriage counseling at our church, and we went to the priest, and he was telling us about what happens when you choose to become married and how the people in your life start to act differently, and it's a result of that threat that they are now facing to who you are to them. And I heard that come up in your story so many times. But there is this added layer of homophobia, right? Where heterosexual people might experience that with their families, and they might get over it and whatever. But it seems like with homophobia, it's a little more difficult, and that's what I'm hearing from you. And something that's kind of come up to me is sort of you have this poetic way of talking on your page, and I want to bring it up real quick. It's this quick little thing. Um, Here, I found this cool way to do it. I don't know if everyone can read it, but it says here, this is just a screenshot from your page. It was, I guess, a letter to your mother. You were playing these multiple characters in harmony. My coming out gave birth to a contradiction in your harmonious balancing act. First off, I just want to say that is so beautiful. I mean, the way that you speak regularly is already poetic, but I would love to hear you talk more about that piece because that is so powerful.
Thank you for asking this question. When I look at back my experience, I do recognize that this wasn't just a struggle for me. This was a struggle for everybody around. For people, my family still loves me.
Mm.
I still love them.
Mm.
So I do. My mom has been a good mother. Now, of course, she wasn't perfect. I wish that she had seen that, her son was gay, but she also was raised in a homophobic society and in a homophobic way. So I cannot really blame her entirely. I definitely have to hold her accountable, because if we don't hold each other accountable, so there is her role that she could have played that she didn't. There is a role that she can play now that she's not ready to play, but doesn't mean that she will not always be ready. So I have to recognize her as a person that she is, a good person with her flaws.
Mm.
And she has a lot of them, not just homophobic, she's a narcissist.
Who
Dude,
doesn't? Who
mom
doesn't?
is narcissist. I'm telling you. But but yeah, I mean, look at, she started demanding, I need a separate room, I need a separate washroom,
Right,
all that
right.
is narcissist. But she's an amazing person as well at the same time, right? So she does try her best to be an amazing person in her life, that she is. And I wanted to recognize that. I wanted to I always, what I do in my videos, and when I make the videos, I really go back into the mental frame that I was in at that time and try to be honest and true to my story. So if, I don't want to make them villains. They are not villains. Now I do recognize that they could have done better, and definitely I'm gonna call them out for that. I definitely would have done better in their position, in their shoes. But it's easy to say that, right? Because it's difficult to put myself in their shoes because they belong to a previous generation. So I want to recognize that, and I guess that's why when I decided that I'm gonna move like we're gonna move away from each other, we're gonna give each other a little bit of distance. The reason wasn't hate. The reason wasn't that I did not like them anymore, and I wanted. The reason was I knew that from this point onwards, there is no peaceful coexistence unless they're willing to change themselves significantly,
Yep.
Which definitely hasn't happened yet. So yeah, there you go. So that's my recognition to my mom.
I love that, and I love
Thank you.
what you say, which is like acknowledging the flaws while also acknowledging that this is a person, this is a human who, regardless, did love me, does love me, but there's just, and the way I like to describe my relationship with my mom is there's love, but there isn't understanding, and that's the thing, love, like you said, on its own, if it's toxic, that's not enough. You need that understanding, you need that communication, and you and I were speaking just a moment ago about how even for ourselves, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, but you've alluded to this as well. Growing up, when you're raised with such negative views on certain things, or even just mysterious views, or that's bad. There's no explanation for it, really, even an education about it, not even like a good or bad, but what is this thing? Especially in the conversation of homosexuality, and when you experience it yourself, you start to have those internalized thoughts, and then you start to develop them. And even thinking for myself about as we're speaking about like what I'm seeing, these homophobic comments in my comment section, the homophobic comments that are coming through here, I see it. I see it because I've been there. I've been at a point where I was sitting down at my high school lunch table telling people that being gay is wrong. And here I am today, as you are on your journey, accepting that that's just not true. It is simply not true. And that process requires so much effort in learning and understanding and love all at once.
That's so beautiful. I mean, I love what you just said there.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying all of that.
Yeah. I mean, but the question here is going to go back to it. When it comes to that part of your journey, when
Mhm.
it's about finally looking in the mirror and saying, I don't want to hate myself anymore. I don't want to hate this. This isn't how I want to live my life. What sort of advice would you give to people who, as you're alluding to earlier in your videos, when you put yourself in that mindset of where you were in that stage, what would you say to people who are in that stage?
I mean, that's a very interesting question. I've never thought about what to advise or what suggestion to give people, but I can
What would
tell
you
you,
say to yourself?
yes, I can tell you what I did for myself and what worked for me. Um, I always hated myself for being gay. If a gay person ever came to me, I would have never hated them.
Right.
So I believe that as a person, I was good because, I was a good Muslim, and a good Muslim does not hate other people, right? Even when they are not, sticking to the word of God, let's
Right.
say, or the previous path, you don't hate them. You love them because God loves people, right?
Yeah.
So I never hated other people, by the way, for being gay. Just let me be very, very clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you hate other people, then I'm sorry, I can't really help you. Then you're just a hateful person. You gotta help yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I was never a hateful person. I always believed in relativity. So and because I traveled, so that kind of expands your horizon as well. I met people in Dubai from Saudi,
Mm.
and they thought that it's good that women can't drive. So coming from Pakistan, coming from a family where my sisters were all hijabi, but
Mm.
it would never even come in their minds that they cannot drive. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, uh, it was just a bizarre, a very draconian. Can I call it? I don't know. I don't know the right word for
Yeah.
it, but it's very, very. Uh, I don't know how to say it, but I don't want to offend anybody because there might be people that believe that way, right? That
Right.
women should not drive. But guess what? We never believed that. At least circle that I hanged out in Pakistan, they never believed that women should not drive.
Yeah.
But there are people in Saudi, they're Muslims. They think that women should not drive. They think that women need permission in writing from their And by the way, in Saudi now you can drive as a woman, so
Right, they
it's not
just changed it in what, 2019 or something? 2019, not even 2 years ago, maybe.
Exactly. And even in the UAE, if you're a married woman, you literally need NOC from your husband to do a lot of things,
Good Lord.
right? I'm literally telling you, like, or if you're a daughter, you need NOC from your father. So that concept was so bizarre for me as a Pakistani Muslim, coming from a Pakistani household. I was like, what planet these Muslims are from, right?
Yeah.
So, but then, instead of looking down upon them, you look inward. You look at yourself. Okay, I may have things that I judge people. So, well, in that moment, I was judging, Emirati Muslims or Saudi Muslims, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna be judgmental. I'm gonna understand that this is what they are raised with. This is faith to them, and faith is so important part of someone's life, right? You take faith away, and you will feel stripped off, and that's how felt. Not that I'm against, by the way, stripping or anything, but that's besides the point. Um, yeah, what I'm trying to say is that so I never hated people, and having that perspective, accepting other people differences, and be cognizant and aware of those differences of how people think within one community, within one Muslim ummah. People think so differently, and that really helped me. That recognition really, really helped me, and also exposing myself to other people. Honestly, I used to. My mom, when she moved into my house, you know what she said? She literally said, because you came out to us. Now, this is the same son that she has known for 35 years. She says to me that I thought before moving to your house that you will be having orgies in your house, or you will be having parties, and you would be consuming drugs and alcohol in your house because now you're gay.
Oh God.
So,
If only.
right. So this is hate, right? Like, or not even hate, because she's also not a hateful person.
Right.
That's thought. That's what she thought people do.
Sure.
So when you expose yourself to new people, new experiences, I guess that what changes and shifts your perspective. I've traveled a lot, and I guess that has been a contributing factor in why I was able to shift my thought process, because you see goodness in people, you see goodness in Christians, you see goodness in Catholics, you see goodness in
Atheists, everybody.
atheists, you
You
see
don't
goodness
need a
in
God to
people.
be, yeah, exactly.
In Muslims, within Muslims, we have got so many denominations and sects, right? So you see goodness in. When I was being raised in Pakistan, there were some people, not me, not anybody in my close surroundings, but there were some people that would say, "Oh, you cannot eat anything that from a person that belongs to Shia faith." And
Really? Wow.
yeah, so that you cannot eat their food. You cannot eat the food that's made by Hindus. So there was a lot of hate. And I knew that that's not a part of religion growing up. So like at that, looking always at other people, be cognizant of the differences, and then looking inwardly and seeing what judgments you're holding against things or people. I think that kind of helped me. That reconciliation helped me with overcoming my internalized homophobia.
I love that. And, it seems like not a cautionary tale, but the opposite of a cautionary tale, you existing, just proving like, hey, if Salman could do it, you could do it too. You know what I mean? Nobody has an excuse because you have been through so much that has led you to this point. Whereas anybody could have equally been in your same position and said, fuck it all, I hate everybody, I want nothing to do with anything. I like and taking the complete opposite approach. And I think I really want to just highlight what you said about the lack of homogeneity and living amongst that in order to sort of push yourself beyond your perspective, because that's something I've observed as well visiting back home in Jordan, is that it's like you're not forced, like you said, you're not forced to see anybody different than you. So of course you're going to have this like cesspool of misinformation traveling amongst each other, even though there is different viewpoints, or you might see different sects or something like that. For the most part, once you see homogenous culture, you're not seeing a lot of exchange of ideas because you're not forced to. And then when you come to a place like the US or Canada, or even Dubai in some aspects, you'll see different people and you'll say, oh wow, yeah, I actually do just need to be an accepting and loving person.
That is absolutely correct. I mean, that is so true. And I've learned so much. And I recommend traveling, everybody to travel around if they can afford, even domestically. And, you know, even within Pakistan, you know, we have so much hate between provinces. You know, Sindhis are hating Punjabis, Punjabis are hating, you know, Sindhis. We have judgments about Pashtun. We always, you know, whenever we make gay jokes, we sort of, you know, bring, just mock Pashtuns because I don't know why, but they have a reputation of homosexuality in their culture. So, you know, like just traveling and meeting these amazing people, you realize that there's so much goodness in people, you know, so much goodness. And there's badness, should I say,
There's
or
madness.
evilness
There's a lot.
in people too. So yeah, so you get to see that too. Yeah, and you get to see in all kinds of people, and that what's I love about traveling and getting to know people.
Yeah, I love that too. And I kind of feel like, you know, in a way, like the internet is cool for that. Like even, you know, this freaking app, like look at us. We got to meet each other and we get to exchange ideas and thoughts. And, you know, even though we're both gay and we're on the same page about everything, there I'm learning so much from you as an individual from your experience. And I love that knowledge sharing. Like I said, like storytelling, story hearing, that's my favorite way to learn because you have a story that no one else can tell. Nobody else can tell your story. How cool is that? Like you're the only one who can tell it.
Absolutely, absolutely, that's so true. Yeah,
And
and
then
amazing. You
yeah,
meet amazing people on this app. So beautiful people on this app.
yeah, yeah. And the ones we, you know, that don't like us, that's okay. They can, you know, find their own little place in the world. It doesn't matter.
I see beauty in them too. Honestly, sometimes I mean, there's this one guy. I'm not going to name anybody. I'm not going to call anybody out, but I can literally tell that this guy is gay. He's
Mm.
dealing with internalized homophobia. And sorry, I don't want to judge anybody by looks or by their comments, but I'm gay myself, so I'm not saying I have a very poor gaydar, by the way. I don't look at people. They're gay. But I can tell that this guy is gay and he's dealing with internalized homophobia. So his hateful comments, when I read them, I smile at him, honestly. I feel, I don't even feel sorry. I just smile. I'm like, at least he's communicating.
Yeah.
At least he is in a position to, you know, word his feelings. Because honestly, people that I've met, sometimes they don't even have words to describe their feelings. We don't have, unfortunately, in Urdu, we don't have proper language, proper words to
Mm-mm.
define LGBTQ plus,
Mm-mm.
2S, I, A, you know, all those, we don't
All of
have
the
any.
letters.
So it's so difficult for people to communicate if you don't have vocabulary. But, you know, so when I see people trying to communicate their ideas and thoughts, and I'm like, that's the first step. So Salman, that's the first step. They're making an effort to communicate with your content. Let them.
That you saying that is contributing to the light in the world.
Yeah.
Because, you know, every single one of us when we wake up in the morning, we have a choice. You know, everyone gets in each moment actually, you know, you have a choice in how you want to behave, how you want to act, what words you want to say, what words you don't want to say. And these actions and what I'm seeing here, the compassion, is truly the best word for it. That compassion, even for those that, you know, they might appear to disagree with you, they might appear to be hateful. They could actually just be struggling. And I would believe most of us are. Something Layla told me when we first started dating is you have to remember you're not the only person on this planet that's suffering. Everybody is suffering. And that
Mhm.
just put everything in perspective for me. You can't look at people and judge them off the bat. You can obviously, you know, instate your own boundaries and all that, but it's not fair to judge.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Absolutely. I mean, who are we to judge? I mean, when I look at my past, I was so judgmental myself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and just homophobia is just one aspect. I mean, I was judgmental about everything because that's what I was taught. I didn't know any better, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That
It's
is not an excuse, by the way, to be ignorant. I want to say this. People need to be held accountable. Like
mm,
when they're hateful, they need to be held accountable for their hate.
right.
Yes, I can accept I can accept those comments and look past their hate,
Yeah.
but you know, they need to be held accountable for their hate. They're
Absolutely.
hateful people, and um, there's just zero goodness in hate. Let me
Yeah.
just put it. There may be goodness in those people, But when they're in their hateful moments, there's zero hate. Oh, sorry, zero um, goodness in them
Tolerance,
in
zero
those
tolerance.
moments.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with you, and I thank you for making that distinction and making that nuance clear because it is important, especially like when we talk about restorative justice and all of these things. You can't just throw someone away and hide the keys. That's not how it works. But you do want to set up a process of accountability where you're creating, if anything, it's more about creating a system and a society that supports good behavior, right? Because as
yeah,
it is, we do live in a world that, in a lot of ways, I think supports bad behavior. And being that change is kind of what the way around it, right? Being that ripple that's going to, have that outcome that we want to see.
yeah. And you know what? I always believe that if you have goodness, you attract good people as well around you. A lot of
Mm.
people, a lot of gay guys from Pakistan that have somehow, found the courage to connect with me, and they ask me, how did you find, um, such an accepting person? How did that happen? Because we can't find them.
Yeah.
Um, and I always tell them, okay, well, so tell me a little bit about your surroundings.
Mm.
So then they start telling me, and I'm like, okay, well, do your friends make homophobic jokes? And they're like, yeah. What do you do? Nothing. I just laugh at them. And I'm like, okay, well, first step is instead of finding somebody accepting of you, why don't you just become accepting of yourself? That's the first step, right?
That's
When
beautiful.
you become accepting of yourself, I'm not saying that you have to say no homophobia or, start fighting, but, the least you can do is get up,
Yeah.
get out. You can still be friends with them. Know your boundaries, know that this is an unacceptable joke, especially when you're gay and it's towards yourself. Once you've made that distinction, okay, well, that this is homophobia, because a lot of people can't even make that distinction. But once you've made that distinction, then stand up for yourself and
Yep.
respect yourself. If you're not going to respect yourself, why would you expect your partner or anybody else for that matter to respect you, right? Or your
Right.
parents to respect you, or your family to respect you? No matter what relationship I have with my family today still respects me for who
Mm.
I am. They know that I can stand up for myself. They might not agree with me. They might not look eye to eye with me on everything, but they respect me, and I respect them.
Yeah, and respect is the most important thing because there is a process. Again, going back to the process of understanding, it's like that could take, I mean, time. You can't measure it, because everybody's different. But if you have respect in that process, then there's gonna be some sort of bright future ahead.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
having the best time ever. I don't know about you, Salman, but
Me
this
too.
like
I'm loving this. I
this
have
is
just
so great, and you have such a beautiful smile. I think everyone here will agree.
oh,
There's a lot of
thank you.
comments coming through. If people want to start asking questions, we can open up the floor for Q&A. I know, Salman, on your screen, there's probably different things coming through. So if you're seeing any questions come through and you want to take them, please go ahead and do that, and then I can take some on my end as well.
I mean, I have a 33.1 likes, I guess, and I've got many comments, but I wasn't reading comments at all. Like I
That's
was
okay.
talking to you and I was enjoying it so much. So I'll let you
Sure.
read.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It looks like there's quite a bit of hate comments on here, but that's okay. But I'll just read off the good ones. So we've got yay, excited to listen to my inspiration. So, man, that's great. That's amazing. I agree. You are an inspiration.
Oh, thank
We've got a lot of support here. We're seeing some resonance about Layla's talking about how her family said the same thing when she was little in regards to the conversations you were speaking to about what your family was sort of teaching you about homosexuals. And I saw your post about that too, about what people were telling you about how men just men who had a libido that they couldn't control and now they need to go to other men. And I think that part is interesting, just about the education piece again.
you.
And I live in America. Sex education here is terrible. I don't know if it's any better in Canada, but the fact that heterosexual sex education is already so bad, and now you have homophobia on top of that, and that could lead to some dangerous situations. And when you talk about parents being concerned about AIDS, well, talk about safe sex, like that, and that's not happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so true. So well said. I love your choice of words.
No, you're
Vocabulary
the
is
poet here. We're not going to focus on that. What else do we see here? Time becomes amorphous. It's true. Time does become amorphous. Uh, Sending love, sending love. Let me go back down. We've got a recent comment here. Are you seeing comments on your end, Cinnamon?
Okay, well, let me start reading them. I'm very bad at this, so I'm gonna start reading the bad ones. I don't want to do that because I am getting a lot of them.
How do you console yourself after getting rejected by your parents?
Okay, so I don't. Depends on how you define rejection. I don't think that they rejected me. They just refused to embrace, I would say, embrace my homosexual identity. They have accepted that too, but that's not really acceptance, it's tolerating it. But it's better than rejecting, so let's not call it rejection first. Let's call it what it is. Now, and it's not acceptance either, so let's call it tolerance. I don't know if it's tolerance either, but anyway, I don't have a better. So, how do I overcome that? You know what? After you accept yourself, after you start loving yourself, it just becomes irrelevant. Like, I feel like that I am a better person than them. I honestly believe that. When I was a Muslim, I felt I was a better Muslim than them, despite of being gay and homosexual. And I shouldn't use the word despite, but I'm just doing it just to explain, you know, how
you're in that same,
because there's just zero despite word should not have been used, by the way. But anyway, so and I still hold that you know, I have a lot of self-esteem, so I try and I correct myself as well. Like, if I make a mistake, if I say something wrong, I apologize, even, you know, for the things that I've said months and months and years ago. So, you know, I do that process, and I see that my parents don't. So who's a better person, me or them? So am I just gonna get stuck, you know, at, oh, you know, I can't just fix myself, you know. I can work on myself. Sorry, I think just it's low battery.
No, you're good. I lost you for a second, but you're back now.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to put this on. Yeah, so I just try to love myself as much as I can. The more hate I get, the more love I develop for myself. And this is the beautiful thing, is what I realized about loving yourself is that when you love yourself, you start actually loving people that you love more than you loved them before. I can tell you, it's because when you do not love yourself, you adjust. You think that, you know, you don't deserve better. And when you are caught up in that cycle, you cannot appreciate even those people that are actually loving you unconditionally, that are giving you the love that you deserve. You're doubting their intentions, right? And that's what I always did all my life. But when I truly started loving myself and accepted myself for who I was, I realized that, you know what, this is the kind of love I deserve. So now I can very easily see, because I know what love should look like, I can easily see this person loves me in the way that I deserve to be loved. This person loves me, fair enough, and I'm going to be nice to them, but they have these boundaries, and I'm going to maintain my boundaries with them. So this is an ongoing learning process. I mean, nobody gets born with that kind of, you know, skill. But I would say, you know, to your viewer who's asked this question of how they overcome the hate or rejection that people are getting, accept yourself 100%. Even if you have a little doubt, you know, accept yourself. If you have to tell yourself that God, if you're a faithful person, if you're a religious person, which I was, so I think I have authority to talk, being a religious person as well. If you tell yourself God loves you, if God loves you, you know, you've got to love yourself, because you cannot hate someone who the God loves, right? And that's what, I don't know if you're aware of that word, but I think it's an Arabic word, so I'm going to use that. And there's a lot of Pakistani audience as well, so I'm sure they will know what I'm talking about. Huquq al-ibad. Huquq al-ibad are before huquq Allah. So if you, and even huquq al-ibad, you know, you have, in that pool of human beings, you're a human being yourself. So your first huquq, or first duty, or shall we say responsibility, is towards yourself. even in the pool of other human beings. So start loving yourself, start accepting yourself, and hopefully the world will become a better place.
Wow. Saman, that was a beautiful response. And actually, as you were speaking, I was taking it in for myself because, also experiencing the rejection, of a parent that you love and that you finally decide, you know what, I'm gonna live my truth now. And not in this like way that's like, you see in the movies, I'm gonna go live my truth. It's like, you know, you've been lying to yourself and others for so long, and it's gotten to a point where the cognitive dissonance is unbearable, and it's actually creating an unhealthy toxicity in your own life where now you have two choices. Do I continue to hide in the shadows, and do I continue a life of lies that's ultimately going to make me a miserable person, or do I just live honestly and start from within? And if I'm going to take this question, I would say that the biggest thing that sort of consoles me is, yes, I'm going to take what you said. Actually, I'm going to pray on it, I'm going to meditate it, because I think that's sort of my piece that I'm struggling with these days, is really trying to convince myself. But in the meantime, the support of others has been like the biggest thing, because it almost feels like the world is gaslighting you into like, you feel so confident, you feel so alive, and you feel so happy to be here. And then you hear things from everywhere else telling you it's wrong or it's bad or you shouldn't be living this way. And then you go and look in the mirror and you say, but I felt really good for a moment there, So like overcoming that is so difficult, especially when it's from your parents, because those are the people that are supposed to not reject you by any means. And now when you have that, now it's trickling into the rest of you. And I think that is a difficult thing to overcome. And I'm seeing here in the comment that therapy is a big one. Definitely. I mean, it was a godsend for me. The therapist that I've had was both Muslim and Palestinian, so I didn't have to explain anything, and that helped. So I think continue to have
Amazing.
those tough conversations and therapy, and drawing your boundaries. I would say those are the biggest things for sure. And
One
obviously,
thing that I
yeah.
really found interesting, and I'm going to mention that, and I didn't want to cut you off when you were saying that. You said your parents are supposed to. Well, nobody's supposed to do anything. Haven't you heard of parents
Mm.
that actually eat their children alive? I have heard of fathers that have eaten their children alive. They've oven roasted their child. I mean, there was news. I haven't seen such a mother, but so I have been into fostering children. I was a licensed foster parent for about a year, and the kids that you get, what they go through and what their parents put them through, you know, there's no, this doesn't exist that parents are supposed to. The kids are removed in situations, such horrible situations. One of the kids that came to me, and I can't identify the kid, I can't share the details because I'm bound by the code of conduct. But what I can tell you is that the kids were removed from the house, walking and running naked, bare feet on broken beer bottles, bleeding,
Mm,
bleeding. Those are the parents too,
yeah.
right? So, not saying that just because your parents are not like that, you owe anything to them. You just owe it to yourself. You don't owe it to anybody. But
Yeah.
know that nobody's supposed to. The only person that's supposed to actually be nice to you, respect you, be good to you is yourself.
Yourself.
So, you know, and that's what I always believe in.
That's beautiful. I again, I appreciate you for bringing up that, for making that nuance apparent, because I think that is kind of one of the biggest things that's on the journey to self acceptance, is removing that sort of like external expectation from anybody or the world, because it might not happen, it might not ever happen, and that's okay, because like you said, the way I think of it, when I go to bed every night, even though, my partner is next to me, but it's me. It's me in my bed. It's me in my head. And, when I die, it's just going to be me.
Yeah.
So, and it's not a way to look back in a morbid way, but to really just look back and say, did I do everything, to my utmost honesty that I could for myself? And I love
Mhm.
that you said that. That's so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And your content is so amazing. Like when I watch your content, I get so much inspiration. Um, it reminds me of myself many, many years ago when I was struggling. Well, I wasn't say struggling because I don't see you struggling. I mean, now that you're telling me, I can see the struggle, but in the content, I don't. I
Yeah.
feel like we're in such a beautiful place. How beautifully you reconcile your faith, with your homosexuality, and not really, get caught up in the traditional interpretation. And there have been changes even in in how we practice Islam today.
Yeah.
It's not like how it was practiced years and years ago. Things
Yeah.
have changed. Our
Yeah.
beliefs have changed. And I guess now it's the time that people like you come forward and make that change, and and carve that path for that change for gay and lesbian and LGBTQ 2S LGBTQIA plus community.
You're so good with those letters. I can never get them right. but,
Yes.
but no, I do want to say that, and thank you for that. I do want to say, and I just want to honor you in this moment to say that, without the people like you who have paved the way before me, then this wouldn't be possible. So, and that's something I've talked about with one of my other guests, talking about that intergenerational sort of, the intergenerational discussion that needs to happen, because, throughout space and time, these things they're ever changing, but at the end of the day, we are all in a way sort of experiencing very similar things, and we need to guide each other and hold each other's hands through that. And just reading some more comments here. Sometimes the strength for self-acceptance come from God's eternal acceptance. Yeah, I read that, resonates with me greatly. As somebody who does believe in God, and for others, I think this is helpful to think about, is that, if God is eternal, if the universe is eternal, then why shouldn't love be eternal? Because that energy, it's an energy, and energies don't stop. They just keep going.
That's so beautiful. That is beautiful. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, we have good stuff here. If there's any more questions people have, please send them through. Salman and I are having an amazing time. This has just been such a lovely discussion. Are you seeing anything on your end?
I'm just gonna read a few of the comments that I'm seeing.
Please.
So, oh, his smile killed all the hate. Oh, thank you so much. I rebuke in the name of Jesus. That's all right, buddy. That's cool. You were happy with that, right? Just make sure that you're happy. It's really true inspiration. Salman, you're doing so much to make your family happy. How did you get the courage to come out? I know you, and I'm going to reach out to you and tell you how I got the courage to come out. I've been always brave, so, but still, I mean, that was something that I really struggled for years. Like I waited 35 years of my life. Well, not really 35, because for the 12, 13 years I didn't even know that I was gay. But
everyone knew before you knew.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so when I did know, I didn't have courage to come. It was very difficult. It was a very difficult experience for me to come out. How did I find courage? First of all, I just want to make sure that you guys know that you don't have to come out. If it is very difficult for you, you don't have to come out. And it's not even about safety. I understand that if you're unsafe, you definitely shouldn't come out. If you're financially dependent, you definitely shouldn't come out. But it's not only just those things. There is something called emotional dependence. So if you're emotional, know that it's going to be a roller coaster ride. Know that you're going to get depressed probably. Not everybody does that, right? I did get depressed. So I can only talk on my behalf. So yeah, you don't have to come out at all. Why did I come out? I knew that I need to fulfill my parents' desires too, of living together, of and I didn't want to live in regret. Yes, it didn't go as I expected. But you know what? At least when I look back at it, I don't feel like, oh, because I'm gay, I couldn't do that. I'm like, nope, I'm gay. I still did it, and it did not work out. There is an awesome feeling in living your truth. There is an awesome feeling in doing what you always wish to do, in even if it doesn't work out, and just knowing that you tried. That makes you a very happy person, I can tell you that. So if you have that kind of mindset where you feel like coming out is going to help you achieve, what you want to achieve, which was my case, come out. Life will definitely get better in a lot of ways after you come out. Like when I look back at it, I'm like, why did I not come out before? And honestly, it helps you so much in kind of separating the negative energy around you, in separating the homophobic people around you. So you're only living with beautiful people, in a small, beautiful and nice
families.
I know. I am, by the way, throwing an LGBTQ plus Christmas dinner on Christmas.
Oh, I wish I was in Canada.
definitely you would be invited, but you
Oh
know
my
what?
gosh,
I'm
that
so
sounds
looking forward to
lovely.
it. Yeah,
You have to report back on that. I can't wait to hear about that.
I'll try. Yeah, my content is only one aspect of my life, so I always try to stick to that because I feel like that even that story I cannot finish because I don't have time. It's going on forever, and I'm sick
An
of
endless
it.
feed.
But sure, it helps people, and that's all that matters.
I love it. There is a lot of power in the autobiographical nature of your if your content. I personally I love it so much, and I think that's why a lot of. And I know you keep saying, "Oh, I don't do it for the fans," but you do have to know that it does help people. You know that. Oh, hi.
A baby.
Who's this?
That is anyway. Sorry, I know you were saying
Who's
something.
the baby?
Her name is Noez. She's my awesome dog. She's 3 years old. Adopted
Oh,
her, the rescue.
oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. My baby came here too.
Oh,
He
that is
came at the same time that your baby did.
girl or boy?
This is Daryush. He's my handsome little boy.
Oh,
Yeah, he loves the camera. He
I'm
loves the
sorry.
camera.
A girl, boy, or non-binary.
Uh,
I'm
it's
learning.
funny. His sister is trans actually.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
we adopted them both, and we were just like, that's a girl cat. That's Noaz. Her name is Noaz.
Nuez, yeah. It's a
Noaz.
Spanish name. Her foster mother actually gave her the name, who rescued her from Dominican Republic. She's a Spanish. It actually names peanut. It's color.
Oh,
Oh,
beautiful.
sorry, walnut. And it's pronounced Nuez, I think, in
Yeah.
Spanish. But here it's Nuez, so it became
I was
Nuez.
gonna ask if it's a Urdu name because I never heard it, but it sounds like it could be Urdu. I don't know.
It's actually a Spanish name, yeah. I wanted to keep her identity, I didn't want to change that.
I love that though. They say that
Yeah.
it's good when you adopt to just keep the names because that's what they know and that's what the. Do you speak Urdu on your page, right? That's the language that's not English that
Oh,
you
yeah.
speak.
Of course,
Yeah,
I love.
I've been
I,
watching and I've been like picking up a few words. I'm like, hey, maybe I'll learn some Urdu in this process.
yeah, for sure. I love my language. I
It's a
love
beautiful
Urdu.
language. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful.
and that's my first language. So of course, my mother tongue is actually Gujarati, but we never. Well, that's not my mother tongue. My parents' mother tongue, first language is Gujarati, but
Mm-hmm.
we never learned Gujarati, so we grew up speaking Urdu in Pakistan. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's a beautiful language, and it's very poetic when you speak it.
Oh, thank you so much.
So we have a lot of good comments here. Again, just people sending love. Yasmina says we both look very nice. Thank you, Yasmina. That's very sweet. And definitely, I just want to say one more thing, and then I'll hand it back to you with your comments, and then I
Yeah.
can let you get some rest tonight. But when you were talking about the emotional security before coming out, that's something I've never thought about before my whole entire life, and no one's ever mentioned to me. The financial part, yes, the financial dependency, just like, are you safe to do it, that sort of thing. Do you have a place to stay? But the emotional part, wow, it's never occurred to me, and I'm realizing it now in my life because, like you said, it's a roller coaster, and I've been out for a while in my family, but it was always don't ask, don't tell. But now I'm like, hey, nope, I'm definitely gay. This is my wife. So it's different once you get to that stage where you're like, no, guys, this is for real. And wow, it is an emotional roller coaster. So I'm just seconding, dittoing. Please just be prepared emotionally.
Absolutely. And we're social beings, so we do need that emotional support. And if you don't have accepting emotional, and that's why coming out is so important, if not to your family, to a trusted group of people. Even when a lot of Pakistani gay guys come reach out to me, it's not safe for them to come out. And I said, okay, find people that you can trust and come out to them only. It can go south, but you got to take risks in life, right? And it's so easy to deny. If somebody, if it becomes safety issue, right? You can always say, "Oh yeah, I said that because I was feeling like that in the moment." They won't understand too much anyway. So, but you gotta take that risk because you need that emotional support around you. And if your only emotional support is your family and they're homophobic, and if you're contemplating whether you should come out or not, most likely they are homophobic. And if you have been homophobic, take another hint. They must be homophobic as well. So those are a few hints for you. Did you hate being gay? Yes, your family must be most likely is homophobic. Did you basically, hear anything growing up that was homophobic? If yes, most likely they are homophobic. You don't have to come out until you've had your emotional support network, and then you can come out when you feel safe emotionally. So yeah, I strongly believe that.
I love that. I love that so much. Are there any closing comments you want to take or last minute remarks?
Just a few comments I'd read. As a Muslim, I support you. Thank you so much. That's awesome. That means a lot to me. Yeah, we deserve to be happy. No need to cover in shadow. Believe or not, there will be one day there will be free LGBT country. Yeah, LGBT country.
Like a
Yeah,
whole gay country?
that work.
I'll buy an island and I'll make it happen. It's fine.
Let's make one.
Let's do it. Let's put these heads together.
Is that what gay village is supposed to be about? LGBTQ plus village, I guess. Let's
No,
just
but now
leave it at that.
we're gonna buy an island.
Buy an island. I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that, but sure. Yeah.
I love the honesty.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I think there are a lot of other comments, but I can't read all of them. So
That's fine. I'm the same way. I get a little comment anxiety sometimes. But again, Salman, I cannot thank you enough. This was amazing. I had such a blast. I hope this was as much fun for you as it was for me. And thank you
I
to
love.
everybody that joined. But anything you want to say, please.
I would just say thank you very much for everybody. Thank you very much to everybody who joined. Thank you, Rand. It was such a beautiful conversation. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, thanks for all the support. That's
Lovely.
it.
We'll do a part 2 sometime.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Take care and have
All right.
fun at the party. Thank you, everybody.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Love you.